Buckler reporting there. Well, we're joined now from Oklahoma by Samir Shahata, who is Professor of Middle Eastern Studies at the University of Oklahoma. First of all, can I just get your reaction to that reporting from the BBC's diplomatic correspondent that Britain and the United States are considering boycotting that investment conference and that there is a possible statement of condemnation by Western allies? How much concern will that cause in Riyadh, do you think?
I think that would cause a considerable amount of concern. I mean, I think the Saudis now are scrambling to try to get out of this mess. And I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get out of this mess. And I think it's going to have consequences not only for Saudi Arabia internationally, but also domestically in terms of how Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince and would-be successor, is likely seen by relatives and other powerful players in the Saudi monarchy. So I think this is a major crisis for Saudi Arabia. I think it would be the least that the United States and Britain and other countries could do if it was proven that Mr. Khashoggi was murdered in the consulate.
Of course, President Trump, we just heard, said there would be severe punishment if it was confirmed. Do you really get the sense, though, that he wants to act, given that he also keeps restating how important trade and investment is?
No, he doesn't want to act. And of course, we've seen this not just with Saudi Arabia, but with other countries that President Trump has been very positive towards that have abysmal human rights records and have no regard for democracy or human rights or rule of law. The government in Egypt is one example. Of course, North Korea is another one. So he does not want to act. But as you also know, there is pressure being applied by Congress, senators and congresspeople, both Democrats and Republicans, as well as a wide chorus of public opinion here in the media and policy individuals decrying what has happened and calling for action.
Yeah, you mentioned the public there, because I think it's fair to say that a majority in the United States have deep-seated suspicion about Saudi Arabia as a country.
Well, that's very correct. I mean, the U.S.-Saudi relationship is a very old one, and it's a very strong one, going back to 1945 and Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the founder of the modern Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But it's always been at the elite level among those people in Washington, in government, as well as business and oil interests. But it has not been one that the American public has really understood because, of course, the question of the absolute lack of shared values when Americans look at the fact that Saudi women only recently were allowed to drive, the capital punishment and the way that it's undertaken in Saudi Arabia, the real terrible record in terms of rule of law and other issues. So I think the American public, there's no love lost with regard to Saudi Arabia.
And just going back to Mohammed bin Salman, does this change how people are going to look at him? Because over the last year, we've been on the receiving end of somewhat of a PR campaign, haven't we?
Oh, I think a very successful and effective one, unfortunately. Many have been taken in by the promises of reform and women driving and movie theaters opening up in Saudi Arabia and a young prince and so on. But really, for those who know what the Saudis have been up to in terms of the devastating war in Yemen, in terms of their meddling in regional conflicts, the needless escalation of the proxy war with Iran, there's really a whole other side of Mohammed bin Salman and the Saudi leadership that I think now is going to be seen as a result of this.
OK, Professor Shahata, really good to get your analysis. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.